The very first musical effects were either built into the instruments themselves or were achieved by insane, ludicrous recording setups. By 1941, DeArmond created the world's first standalone effect circuit, Tremolo. Now you might hear people call it Tremolo, but the cool way to say it is Tremolo, and that's how I say it, so get used to it. Tremolo is when the volume oscillates. The volume goes up, down, cuts in and out, and wavers around. It gives a smooth, strobe-like kind of effect. This DeArmond unit was pretty big because it was powered by the same valve tubes used in amplifiers. Now inside this metal box is a small glass jar containing a water-based electrolytic fluid similar to Windex, which gets shaken by a motor. Inside the jar is a pin attached to the positive connection of the input cable, and as the liquid splashes against the pin, the signal is shunted to the ground, and the speaker never receives the signal.
And here's a little copper tank. If you look inside, you can see the Windex that's in there. It's about half full. And here's the electrode. Now the electrode is insulated from the tank. The tank is grounded, the copper tank. And when the fluid rises up and immerses the electrode, it essentially grounds the signal. This is a shielded cable here that brings the signal out to the electrode. So every time that the liquid rises up and touches the electrode, the volume of the signal drops. Now let's move the speed up a little bit. You'll watch as it moves up the spindle, and it's going to speed up.
The 1941 date is not based on the effect being used with guitars, but on the first ever electric pianos. Storytone brand pianos were manufactured by Story and Clark, developed in conjunction with RCA, and first exhibited at the 1939 New York's World's Fair. By 1941, early models boasted the DeArmond Tremolo units mounted directly under the keyboard for easy access. Then during World War I, there wasn't much musical innovations besides the development of the Leslie rotating speaker. By spinning a rotating speaker, an oscillating Doppler effect is produced. As the speaker or cone moves towards you, the sound waves move faster, slightly raising the pitch and vice versa. This varying of pitch is called vibrato, remember? Also, volume is greatest when the speaker faces you, and the least when it's faced away. This varying of volume is called tremolo, remember? Therefore, tremolo and vibrato is an accurate description of the Leslie effect. It achieves both simultaneously and naturally. The DeArmond Tremolo unit was still only being used in those Storytone electric pianos. That is, until 1947, when Nathan Daniel founds Dan Electro. That same year, he develops the first guitar amp with built-in tremolo. For some reason, he called it a vibrato system for amplifiers, and in his extended product description, explains that the circuit produces a quote-unquote tremolo or vibrato effect, likely because he didn't know. More on this later though. The same year, Multivox released their premier 66 tremolo amplifier, saying that, quote-unquote, the built-in electronic tremolo lends a new organ-like quality to your tone. The tremolo built into amps did not use water, rather varistors, which are non-linear voltage-dependent resistors, or varying resistors, varistors. All amps with 2 or more power tubes include a tube called a phase inverter, which splits the guitar signal to allow 2 or 4 power tubes to share amplification duties. By varying the bias, or how much voltage is sent to ground, you can intermittently deprive the speaker of the signal. The following year, in 1948, Gibson releases their first tremolo amp, the 50T. Then, finally in 1948, DeArmond releases their water-based unit as a standalone guitar effect. It was the first time that guitarists had another separate effects box to plug into before their amp, like today's stomp boxes. Bo Diddley used this device. Arriving pretty late in the game, in 1955, Fender releases its first tremolo amp, the Tremolo. But since it came so late, it truly leapfrogged the competition, because it was already a great amp, and now with even more benefits. Its design is unique in that the wavering voltage is sent to the cathode element of the phase inverter, perhaps the most efficient design thus far. Later brownface and blackface Fender amps would feature radically different versions of this effect. By this time, many brands started to make amps with built-in tremolo, but an infamous mistake on Fender's part is still being cleared up today. He labeled this automated volume swell as vibrato on their amps, and called the vibrato whammy on their Stratocaster guitar a tremolo bar. So you can thank Leo Fender for decades of mass confusion. Or can you?